So we were talking on another episode how we took the family, the kids, to Key West. And what an awesome trip it was. I wasn't happy because I had to leave early. I had to leave the trip early, had to get back up to the office. Got to do the duties, you know what I'm saying? And I find myself having a little bit of a pity party when I get that email from the airline saying it's time to check in. And I think I might have a point. You know, it's a weekly thing, and you start to feel sorry for yourself because you don't want to leave your family and kids. And I've been kind of going through this dichotomy in my brain thinking about this. And, you know, people have been saying for a couple of years, how long are you to do this? How long are you to do this? And I'm like, forever. They're like, it's not sustainable. And I'm like, well, just it is right now, okay? So I get on the plane in Key West. And man, let me tell you something. I don't complain about much, but the past 2 months of flying, if you've been flying, you know what I'm saying. It's been pretty bad. I mean, pilots have been getting on and apologizing, and they have no control. It's a lot of weather stuff, a lot of tornadoes, especially when flying to Atlanta. I've been stuck there 3 times in the past month. It's absolutely insane. But this one was a little different. I was in a kind of different headspace with this one. So we get on the plane in Key West, and the pilot is very confident. He said, listen, guys, we have an issue. We had pulled away. We're getting ready to take off. He said, there's huge storms hitting Atlanta. I've been flying for over 30 years. So I'm confident I'll get us through it. Quite a statement. But our plane is too heavy right now for the winds. So we're going to have to sit and wait it out. And with that, he goes silent. We're disconnected, so the AC is really not working. People are getting a little irritated. But then the pilot gets out, and he walks to the back of the plane. And he gets a family of 6 to volunteer to walk off. And he said, well, I'm sure Delta's going to take good care of them, but let's give them a hand. Now we'll be able to take off. And I'm thinking, we just had to release 6 people to lighten the plane a little bit so the wind doesn't destroy us. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good. He's got 30 years experience. Putting trust in this guy, but I really didn't care because I had to get back to CT to work. So now we fly, and he goes, all right, we're doing good. We're hitting a bunch of turbulence. And he basically says, don't get up, stay buckled in. And we get through the storm, we land in Atlanta, and we stop in the middle of the runway. And he said, if you look out your windows, you'll see a couple hundred planes grounded because of the storm. Now I've got a connection to catch, so I'm looking on the app, and I see 20-minute delay, 20-minute delay. I'm like, God, please let it get and keep delayed, because a couple weeks before, I got stranded again because there was flooding in Connecticut, and they shut the airports down, and I couldn't get a flight out for 2 days, and I actually had to shut the office down on that Monday, and I haven't done that outside of having a blizzard. Hella high water, I'm closing, but we had to close on a Monday, our busiest day. So here we are now on a Sunday night, and he said, planes are stranded in the terminals, planes that landed can't get in, we're going to have to sit here. We sat on that tarmac for 2 hours. The AC wasn't working right, people are hot, irritated. I'm sitting there thinking, like, we have no control. He has no control, and he's doing his best. This guy communicated really well. So I texted Tammy, and I let her know what was going on. And you could tell now, because I could see my plane was boarding, and I'm out in the middle of the runway. We're not going to make this flight. So she got me the last seat on the flight the next morning. And a long story short, I ended up staying overnight in the airport. And when I got off the plane, there was 2,000 people in line at the Delta desk trying to get help. 2,000 people. It was insane. People stood on the line for 6 hours. I heard people trying to call for hotels. Hotels were all booked up. I could have got a hotel. Delta would have paid for it. But you know what, man? I was tired. I didn't feel like leaving. You know, it's now midnight. Find a hotel. Check in. Get worried about not waking up. Sleep for 2 hours. Have to go through TSA. I said, you know what? I'm staying here. So I buckled down at gate A16. Sat in a chair. Then I laid on the floor and napped for about an hour. Got up and walked around. Delta Club opened up at 5:30. Went up and had a cup of coffee. Started to fall asleep. I said, man, your big ass is going to miss your flight if you fall asleep. So we got up, went to our terminal. And we were able to get to the office. And we opened an hour late, but we got here. And my girls were amazing, got to the office, texted everybody, let them know what was going on. And man, it was a great day. You know, Dr. Sid, my mentor, my biggest mentor, he said, you know, in tough times, you got to lose yourself in service. And I did. We came in and lost ourselves in service. We had a ton of new patients. I'm running around taking x-rays. My legs are like lead. But I'm like, this is what it is, man. This is what it's all about. But I also said, Steve, you got to work smarter. God, there's got to be a better system. There's got to be a better way to do this. When I was walking around that airport at 3:30 in the morning, the ideas dropped in, man. You see, if I was in a hotel room sound asleep, I wouldn't have heard these ideas. I wouldn't have heard these solutions. But now I got them. You see, because when you listen to that wee voice within, which to me is when God is speaking through you during some tough times and giving you solutions, you better listen. You better listen. So I wrote them down. And let me tell you something, man. As consciousness would have it, I'm not going to share these solutions with you yet, because I'm a firm believer is when you get these things, you keep them to yourself. Don't go blabbing them all over the place to people, because then it like dilutes it, and it's almost as like God says, dude, you're a bitch, we're taking the answer away, or whatever. Just my own personal thinking. But it's going to happen, and I feel good about it. And it's all about growth and expansion and adapting and growing as a man, as a leader, to do better. What can I do better? How can I master my craft better? I love my patients, serving my patients. But I got to restore my energy as well, as I'm good to nobody. And that's what we're focusing on here. And we've got the answers. And it's going to happen, baby. So it's great. But through this tough time, this proverbial storm, is going to come massive growth. I've seen it too many times in life. And if you allow yourself that space, and let me tell you, a lot of my magic, a lot of the answers come around 3 in the morning. And I looked at the clock and it was 3:31 when this dropped in heavy as I walked over to Terminal B, because they changed my terminal. And I heard the answers. I'll never forget it. And I went through. I decided not to take the little train. I was walking through, man, it was like hundreds and hundreds of people sleeping on the floor, in the corners. It was kind of creepy, but it was a blessing, an absolute blessing. God is great all the time, man. If you just listen during your tough times and sit back and let the magic happen, your life is freaking awesome. Be blessed, welcome the struggle, listen, and kick butt, baby.